But if you can work all that out, it's uh, we've had just the best experience ever. But there are tons and tons of beautiful French villages, not just the most beautiful village list. I mean, they are everywhere. But then there are villages that are not so charming. My husband is very into wine, and he loves it. He tells all our friends, "You can drink wine at lunch over here. Come on over." At this age, and my husband's slightly older than I am, at one point we had to sit down and say, "Okay, where do we want to die?"
Welcome! I'm your host, Deborah, a French native teacher for expats over 50. This is episode 5 of Say Bonjour to Your New Life. Today, meet Lyn McBride. She's been in France for over 20 years, from château life to a farmhouse, and now city living in Burgundy. With her husband, her cat, and her writing, she has truly integrated into French life. Warm, witty, and insightful, Lyn is here to share her story. Let's dive in. Bonjour Lyn.
Bonjour Deborah.
Comment ça va?
Très bien, merci. Et vous?
Très bien. Quel beau français. You speak very well.
With a southern accent, I'm afraid.
Ah. So for how long have you been in France? A long time, I think.
Yeah, over 20 years we've been here.
Wow. So you will have a lot of interesting insights to share with our listeners, I think.
I hope so.
Yeah. And where are you calling me from? Where are you based right now?
We live in Beaune, France, which is in the Côte d'Or in Burgundy. So we live close to the centre-ville, so that's where I am.
Yeah. So you are with your husband?
Yes, with my husband and my cat in our Beaune apartment. Yeah.
Nice. And that's your second home in France, no? You've been somewhere else before or in a few places?
When we first moved here, we lived in southern Burgundy. We rented in an apartment in a château for 3 years. Then we renovated a house and farmhouse in a village and lived there for 13 years in the same area. That was in southern part of Burgundy. And then 6 years ago, we decided we wanted a more urban life and the garden was too much, so we moved to Beaune.
So now you have a flat with a balcony, or instead of a garden, you reduced the size. I'm going to run by you some facts and myths or facts or cliché about retiring in France, and you can comment on that. And I think based on your experience, on the different lives that you had in France, the chateau life, the countryside life, the city, town life, I think you will have a lot of interesting insights. And also you are a writer and you've been writing about that in your blog. I will actually show your blog to introduce our listener to your blog if they don't know you, because I think it's fantastic. And you surely, in French, we say, vous avez une belle plume. Plume like a feather that you know how to write. So I'm going to show, so that's the main page. And I just click on this article, and I thought as well it could be a little bit connected with our topic today, which is quite a funny picture. Well, is he your husband or?
No, it's a friend. He's British, but trying his best to look French.
Nice, avec le béret, le panier. Did you make this picture on purpose for the article?
I took it when I saw him at the cafe because I thought it was funny. I thought he was trying so hard.
I like it. You've been writing a lot of funny articles, and if people want to come and discover your work, I will paste the link below the video. So maybe you can read the little quote for us.
Okay, myth or fact, you can buy a chateau for the price of a U.S. condo. Well, I think that's a fact.
Oh!
We live in the winter. We live in Charleston. We were in France for 10 years full time, and then we started going back to Charleston for the winters because Charleston has beautiful winters. Charleston, South Carolina. You can buy a chateau in Burgundy for less than you can buy a condo in Charleston, a nice condo.
Wow. That's kind of enticing, you know,
Yeah,
for people like, oh my God.
yeah, the chateaus are amazingly inexpensive. However, you have to have a big annual budget to keep them
Yeah.
up, and if they need renovation, forget it. That's expensive.
Yeah, so that's the hidden part of it.
Yeah.
The first price is rather cheap for what it is, but then it costs a lot, no, every year to maintain.
Keep on paying.
Yeah. You have the experience yourself as you lived in the chateau when you first arrived, no, in France?
We did. We lived in a 14th century chateau with a French couple who had put an apartment on the top floor, and it took a village to maintain it. All of our friends
Wow.
and their friends were all helping.
And over the years, have you met any American people who actually went with this project and bought a chateau? Have you met anyone?
I don't think we've met any Americans who bought a chateau, but we've met Americans who have done very big projects. Bought a mill or things that are quite extensive.
Because after, I think you can also have a project and find investors. And I think a lot of people with the chateau in France, they have like a little project in mind or like
adding some apartments or sheets. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
A word about your life in the chateau. How was it living there?
It was fabulous. We loved it. And the French couple became sort of our French family. They were so helpful. We loved every minute of it. We were there for 3 years.
Wow. Surely it helped for your Francais.
Yes, it did. The Chatelain spoke no English, and Chatelain, and his wife was very fluent. So we had help on both ends.
Perfect. Yeah. That was a good mix.
Yes.
It's kind of dreamy to start your French adventure with a chateau.
Oh, it was like a fairy tale. It was wonderful. We had turrets and towers.
Wow.
It was wonderful.
So I think you wrote a lot of articles on your blog about it to describe. I can link it to the listeners.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Myth or fact, the French bureaucracy nightmare. Oui, ça c'est vrai.
Oh.
It's a bit of a nightmare. A lot of people are having trouble getting visas, just bureaucratic hassles. I think they're trying to make it a little harder. The French like paperwork, documents. It's a lot of work, yes.
That's your husband that's been dealing with the visa and everything?
Yes, he does it all. It's great.
So you did it all by yourself? You didn't use a relocation agency?
No, we didn't ourselves.
And it worked fine? Like you managed to have the visa with the first go, or sometimes you had to...
Yeah, we started this 20 years ago when it was a lot easier. And we were in a small village. The mayor helped us. So it wasn't too difficult. We had friends helping us. But it's gotten a little bit harder now. We know a lot of people who are struggling to get their visas. I mean, you can do it, but they've made it a little harder.
Yeah.
At least,
and now with the new law.
Yeah, I think it differs between prefectures. In Beaune it's difficult. In another department, it might be easier. So
yeah, so a bit of irregularity. Yeah, but you think the difference with the US in terms of bureaucracy, you think that the French, okay, they love the paperwork, but do you think the process is quite straightforward, or it's a bit like sometimes they ask you different steps and it's not really clear? Or...
Oh no, I think it's very straightforward. The French are very organized. Such a well-run country. That's not a problem. And certain things are easier. The healthcare and insurance is very easy. Taxes are easy to do. So some things are easier. It just depends on what you're working.
It's good to have these insights, like to know that maybe some things are easy according to your...
Things are very easy.
What else? Yeah, speaking about, you mentioned the healthcare
Uh-huh.
and la carte vitale. So what do you think of that? Can you say a word? Because I think a lot of people are worried about it and wonder how things work.
Okay. Yeah, French healthcare is best in the world. Vive la carte vitale. I agree that French healthcare is best in the world. It's fabulous. We've been here a long time. We've had lots of experience with it. My husband has had two bad bike accidents. He's spent almost maybe 2.5 months in French hospitals over the course of 20 years. So we're quite familiar with it, and it's really been wonderful. It's very inexpensive, and if you're a resident, you can get a carte vitale, and then it's paid for. So we do not have one because we have my husband's in the military. We have military insurance, so we don't need one. But
Yeah.
friends have it, and it works great.
It's the green card, but not the green card to work like in the US, but it's
Yes.
like this card to
Yes.
have to get reimbursed.
Yes, and there's no filing of insurance and all those hassles. You hand them your card, and it's done.
It's a fact as well to know in France is that yes, the healthcare is really good, but you have to be aware that depending where you live, sometimes in the countryside there is a big shortage of doctors, and it's a little bit harder if you want a quick appointment, and so that is something also to take in consideration now according to the place you pick.
Yes, absolutely. There is a shortage in France of doctors. They're working on it, but it's going to take a while. And it really takes some time to get a specialist appointment with a specialist.
For you, where you live, it's a bit of a hustle.
Even we're not in one of the medical deserts, but even so, it takes a while to get an appointment for certain specialists. Yeah,
like dermatologist or.
That's not too bad, and we have a family doctor I can get into very quickly. Cardiologists are difficult, for example.
Okay. So that's important to know when you pick the place, if you have a condition or if you anticipate something that might happen to you, to consider that.
Yeah, but the answer to that, I say, is if you have a big problem, you go to the ER, and then they hook you up with a specialist. So
yeah,
that's
just a
that's
shortcut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good to know that you can have that.
Okay, myth or fact, it's cheaper to live in France than in the US. That's a bit of a complicated question. In general, I would say yes, but it depends on where you're coming from in the US and where you're going to in France.
Exactly.
If you want to live in Paris or on the Côte d'Azur, it's not going to be cheaper, most likely. But there are so many places in France that are really, really reasonable and beautiful and wonderful. But it also depends on what real estate market you're coming from. Charleston is a very expensive real estate market, and France real estate is very reasonable in general, and rents are reasonable. So for us, it's much cheaper to live here. The smaller things are about the same. Food is cheaper, especially now. Cars may be a little more expensive, but those kinds of things are a wash. But it's the real estate that's going to make a difference. If you're coming from an expensive real estate market, you're going to be able to find housing for way less, and that's a big ticket item. So
something that I noticed is that the British people, they go often to Dordogne or to area that are a little bit cheaper than the favorite spot for Americans. You mentioned Paris and the Côte d'Azur, and I find a lot of Americans aiming to go to Nice, for instance. It's really popular, and it's where it's really expensive and saturated as well.
yes.
And I think maybe the British have that in mind, that they think, okay, we are going to a place that's cheaper. And Americans often go for maybe places with more expats and also bigger and more expensive. So maybe it's good to show there is also other routes possible, no?
Yes, the Brits especially are looking for cheaper areas to live. cheaper real estate. And there's so many beautiful areas. There's just a wealth of choices that are
Exactly.
very reasonable. So
Yeah, it's good to find those hidden gem. Do you
yes.
have names to give us of place that you reckon it's like really underrated and beautiful?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Uh, well, Burgundy is one of them. Burgundy's not on a lot of Americans' radar.
Mm.
And, the real estate is very reasonable. It's very sophisticated, great food and wine. All sorts of different regions of Burgundy that are very pretty. And then there's lots of, if you want a city, there are lots of beautiful cities. I mean, Nancy, Metz, the list goes on and on. If you want something beside that's, or Lyon, something that's a bit like Paris, but not as big. There's that whole area where the Brits go, the Charente, Poitou, over there in the
Poitou-Charentes.
Poitou-Charentes, over in the west central, west
A
southwest.
bit closer to the UK.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of Brits over there. So and reasonable real estate, but there's so many choices. Auvergne, there's lots of beautiful places.
Yeah, you mentioned before that the price of the rentals, and I know that it's a common question that people wonder when they sell their house back in their home country. They wonder what to do, to buy or to rent. So do you have, I don't know, I think you started yourself with the rental in the castle, but do you have like a little insight now, 20 years later? Do you have an advice to say
I
to
do.
people?
I do. We didn't plan on renting. We had been looking for a house, couldn't find what we wanted. We ended up renting, and that was the absolute best thing we could do. It gives you a chance to check out the area without a big commitment. We were in southern Burgundy in the château. We were a bit isolated out in the country, and there were towns around us, but we kept going to the market in Cluny, and we kept going to events in Cluny, and we figured out, gee, we're always in this town. Let's move close to that town, and that's what we did. So we wouldn't have figured that out if we had not. And tenants' rights are very strong in France, so it's unless you're in a really big city, it's very easy to rent. We didn't even have a lease the first time, so it really gives you a chance to check it out.
Thank you for saying that, because I feel that a lot of people aim for places like Nice and they feel very overwhelmed by the difficulty of finding a rental. And this perspective maybe might encourage people to have a look somewhere else and see that it's not as hard and it's actually very accessible if you go to places like less in the radar. And so that's been your experience. That's been easy for you.
Yeah, it's been easy. And in Beaune, we decided to rent since we're getting older. So we're renting our flat. We've been renting it for 6 years, and it was very easy, straightforward. We had a realtor, do the project. It's been just as easy as it could be.
And as well, if you have any problems, it's the landlord that has to deal with it, and you don't have maybe to go through the hassle of calling the plumber. And so that's also, yeah, I guess that's, it's a bit like less charge mental charge. Just you can chill and everything is taken care of.
Exactly.
Hopefully, if you have a good landlord.
Yes.
So
myth or fact, all French villages are full of charm and farmers markets. No. They're not.
That's the image. That's the image that we have in mind.
There are so many of them that are charming. Market towns are a bit special. Not every town's a market town. There'll be a market town in a certain area that's every once a week. And of course, the markets are great fun and a social occasion. So you want to be somewhere near a market town if you can. But there are tons and tons of beautiful French villages, not just the most beautiful village list. I mean, they are everywhere. But then there are villages that are not so charming. We looked at a house one time. It had a beautiful view overlooking this huge chateau in a valley, but it was a farming village, and it was all tractors and rundown houses and dogs up and barking. So, you know, they're not all beautiful.
That's why it's important to actually experience the village as you did, to go yourself to visit, because we hear of people purchasing a house from the US or without even seeing the village.
Yes.
But I think it's really important to get this sense, like, is it a place where I will enjoy myself when I go out and walk in the village? Or it's hard to tell with Google Map, or we don't have
it's
something to explore.
To tell. But before we moved here, we to do our research, we had narrowed it down to about 3 areas, and we went and stayed in the area for 2 weeks. We rented a Chic. We went to the market. We drove around the area, and if you have the time and the ability to do that, that's a great thing to do. Great way to research it.
And do you have a favorite list of villages with markets? Do you have like some that you like especially?
Cluny is a market town and has a fabulous market. Beaune's a market town. We love it. Yeah, they have a very big, nice market. And Chic, close to us, has one. When we go down to Nice a lot for vacations, and they have fabulous. Well, they have a market every day. So, yeah, they're all over the place.
It is something a little bit like the postcards that people have in mind about France, we have to say, no?
Yeah.
You don't really have that back in the US? You don't have like no, it's not really common.
We have one in Charleston, but it's just not the same.
No. Not beyond comparison. If you are learning French, I invite you to check my website. I will put the link below. It's called Feel Good French, and I created a lot of resources. I have a blog with plenty of articles that might interest you, and I have also my offer, and you can find about my background. Everything is there. What I want to show you is this very special group that I created. It's a French pronunciation club for expats. It's happening on WhatsApp, and I designed it after years of working with 50 plus learners and realizing that one of the problems is the pronunciation, is because the French writing can be quite deceiving. And for 50 plus learners, I noticed that when I was sending them WhatsApp vocals, they suddenly had, for them it was way better. They could memorize better, they could really have fun listening to my audios, repeating those very common and practical sentences they can use for the market, for la boulangerie, for le doctor. And we use what we say, this 80-20 method, where we learn what is the most important and we skip what is not necessarily to survive and to thrive in your life in France. And a special bonus that I add to this offer is the Apéro Club for expats, is meeting once a month like-minded people that live probably the same situation as you, maybe in the same city, in the same town, or maybe in another place in France, and we create a community together. So if you want to join the club, it's very new, so you can use, for the 50 first people who sign up, use the code BONJOUR and enjoy 30% discount. Go for it. Allez! Right, myth or fact, learning French after 60 is impossible. Thank you for putting a picture of my book up there, which I wrote quite a while back. But it's a really good book, and I recommend people to have a look. It's true that you wrote it a few years back, but I think it's still very valid, and you mentioned a lot of strategies and your own experience, and maybe you can say a word about it. Yeah, it's really, I wrote it more as a motivational book for people who are just starting from scratch and need kind of a plan
guidebook on how to learn a language. So I wrote it for that reason. And my people on my blog were requesting that, so that's why I wrote it. But I think absolutely it's possible to learn a language later in life, and it's supposed to be very good for your brain to do so. We started in our 50s, really. I'd had high school French. My husband had none. And, we still study it. We go to conversation groups, and we will always be learning French. So
it never stops.
it never stops. It's a lifetime project and a great challenge, and I love doing it.
I think it's this quote that I put is a bit provocative, because I noticed that some of the people, like they love France, they want to move, but they feel as they never learned a language before. That happens a lot in the US, because sometimes you don't have this background, maybe a bit of Spanish sometimes, and I think people feel overwhelmed, and they are like, oh my God, I'm getting old, and the French grammar, the pronunciation is hard, and they feel really overwhelmed. But I think it's a matter of perspective. You can really shift your mindset, and as you said, take it positively. Like, okay, this is the best I can do for my brain. It could be exciting. It could open new doors, like just to discover feminine, masculine. You can have fun with it, and just the subtleties, the new words, they don't exist in English, the funny expressions.
Yeah.
And if you shift your mindset, that could become really positive.
Well, it is, and I think it's wonderful, Deborah, what you're doing, specializing in French, teaching French to expats, because if you come over and don't try and learn the language, it's like, why are you coming? You need to assimilate yourself and jump right in and be a part of the culture and the French life. And a big part of that is the language. So I love that you're specializing in that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I came to you because of your book, and I liked that it's the first book I found about learning a language for used brain a little bit later in life, because it's also your experience. And I don't know if it's something that you have an insight about it, but what I noticed, the difference between teaching expats, older expats, and teaching other people, is that maybe you have to work on your perfectionism. Like if you are, imagine that you are a bit perfectionist and you want to speak perfectly or not speak, I think you have to let go on that, because it will be hard to memorize everything and to speak perfectly. And maybe also, maybe you have to set the bar not as high as maybe a 30 years old learner, and accept that. And as long as you said, as long as you connect with the people, I think.
Yes. And the French love it when you just make the effort, because so many Americans, as you know, don't speak another language. And so we found the French to be very, very helpful, as long as you just try.
Any insights from your book that you want to share with probably the 55, 60 and more years old listeners that are here? I know it's hard because you've got plenty of really good tips.
Well, my husband always says, at this age, I'm not getting paid. I don't have to succeed. It's just what it is, And he's an example. My husband's a very smart guy, but he's not a linguist. He worked very hard at learning French and studying it. He's not a great speaker. He has over the years learned to comprehend, but he can manage, and he just jumps in there and does it and has a good time with it. So expectations, absolutely, you may have to lower them, but you just have a good attitude. Just jump in and do it. And if you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
Something a bit more personal I wanted to ask, because I'm always curious about it. Did you share with your husband this learning journey? Did you study together? Are you like motivating each other? Do you sometimes speak French between you? Like how is it? How does that work?
Well, we did go on the journey together. I'd had the high school French, but that was a long time ago. We went to immersion class together in Villefranche-sur-Mer for a month.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, right before we came. So that was very helpful. And we studied together. We watch French TV together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're at different levels for sure, but we have definitely, you know, done it together. And we have all French evenings, all French dinner parties, and we can handle those now. So
Nice.
those were very scary at first, but we do well. So
I have to say that Lynn speaks very well. We had a chat before and you spoke to me in French and I was impressed.
Oh, thank you. I'm not fluent, but I get by.
Yeah, non, un bon accent, bonne prononciation.
Oh, merci.
Ouais, très bien. You speak about the immersion, like how to like also make friends or have conversational pals and create this, use this immersion, no, when you are in France.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of conversation groups around, expat groups. There's one in Beaune, a big expat group in Beaune, for example, where started by American, and she tries to keep it sort of half French and half expats, and we speak English part of the time and French part of the time. So we share in that way. And those groups are all over the place. I'm in 2 conversation groups here. So.
And could you say a word about, I hear a lot about the tiredness that speaking a foreign language could generate. So do you have any tips about that? Do you yourself feel tired at the end of the day when you come back from a French evening?
Oh.
And yeah.
Yeah, I do great till about 10 o'clock, and then the French just stops working. But I just tell them, okay, reach my limit. Tell my friends I've reached my limit. But it is fatiguing, but in a good way. You know, it's challenging, but it can wear you out. That's true.
I think accepting and to know, as you say, that it's also positive. It's like a little gymnastic for your brain.
It is.
I know people that takes a memory class. I think when you learn a language, you don't need those kind of classes.
Memory class.
Yeah, so with learning a language, like you've got plenty of brain challenge, and I think it's really entertaining.
Absolutely. Myth or fake? Everyone drinks wine at lunch every day. Well, yes. We have done that for years. We're trying to cut back a little now as we get older, but not everybody does it. But there's a lot of wine consumed at lunch, yes.
So you got influence, meaning that back in the US, you didn't have this habit before? You took it...
Not at lunch, no.
So France transformed you in this extent.
Yeah, my husband is very into wine, and he loves it. He tells all our friends, you can drink wine at lunch over here. Come on over.
Something funny that I taught a woman that worked in Pernod Ricard, which is an important alcohol French company. They also sell wine. And she was telling me that, you know, the French people, they have the cubi, you know, those big box of wine that you can fill your own bottle with it. And so there is this culture. Some people buy that rather than buying actual bottles. And they try to export those cubi in other countries, like in Spain. And it didn't work because people associate it with, you know, like alcoholism but because people drink so much wine in France that it's actually quite popular to have those cubi of good wine. Sometimes you can find good wines in those. I don't know if you ever got them.
Oh yeah, well, they're not as common now, but we used to have big gallon jugs, and you'd go to the wine place, a cooperative, and you
Yeah,
pick it
exactly.
on, and you'd have several choices, and it could be very good wine. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And I think abroad, people associate it with bad quality wine in huge quantity to get drunk.
Yeah.
But in
No,
France, it's different.
it's good wine. It's right out of the barrel. It's good wine.
Yeah,
But we
uh,
live in Beaune now, where everything is about wine. So
exactly. I wanted actually to do this interview with glasses of wine, but then we set up the interview at 11, and I thought, well,
a little.
too early, too early. But are you more rouge, blanc, rosé? What's your personal favorite? Depends on the moment or
Pas rouge,
no.
rosé or blanc.
And any wine to recommend from your area? You said it's all about wine.
Burgundy reds are very expensive. We get our reds from the Côte d'Ivoire area, actually, which is just south of us. There are many, many good, thousands, actually, of good Burgundy wines. It's overwhelming, actually, how many.
Yeah, it's a world. C'est un monde. Do you cook bœuf bourguignon?
Oh, I made coq au vin yesterday, actually.
It's important the wine you choose, no, for this dish as well.
Pick a good Burgundy. Myth or fact? The French hate Americans or love them? Well, that's a good question. They used to just love Americans. With the current political administration, we're not as loved as we used to be. But in general,
that's unfair. It's not your fault.
I know it's not our fault. But in general, the French like Americans. They're fascinated by America. If they've either visited or they want to visit. So yes, our experience has been very positive in that regard.
Depends on where you are as well, maybe. Bigger
So.
city, small town.
Yeah, but we've always been very much welcomed.
But as well is also maybe the way you speak to them, the way you interact as well with them will change also the experience, no?
Yes, absolutely. And that goes back to trying to assimilate and respecting the culture and the cultural differences and speaking the language, all those things. Yeah.
That reminds me of the article from your blog I showed before, like about the American tourist and those little cultural differences, like for instance with the dog, like how American goes and pet the dogs and French people are a bit...
French don't do that.
So, but as well, it's those differences that makes it fun, no? To like...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. There are a few that drive you crazy, but they're always interesting.
Which ones drive you crazy personally?
The thing that makes us, that's the hardest, is that in America, everything's open all the time, In France, things are closed on Sunday and Monday and Wednesday afternoon and the month of August, and if I feel like it, and so it's sometimes hard to get things done. You go to do something and, it's a furniture annuel or a furniture exceptionnel, or, so that's really different.
Do you think it's because we have less of a work ethic in France? We are not as hard worker, or? No,
I think there's a good work ethic, but there's a very strong leisure ethic in France.
Okay. That's...
So and we like, that's the other side of it. We like that. We like the relaxed French lifestyle, and that they don't work themselves to death, and they take time to be with family and friends. So that's the other side of it. But from a practical point of view, it can just kind of make you a little crazy when everything seems to be closed a lot of the time.
Do you think that you sucked into this French balance of life, and that now you've been in France for 20 years? Do you think that France taught you to slow down and like enjoy the life more and appreciate the little pleasures?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the things we love about it, is the French lifestyle. And we adopt the French eating habits. We've adopted that. They eat 3 meals a day. They don't snack between meals. They They eat healthy, fresh food. We've adopted all of those kinds of habits. We go to the bakery every day, those sorts of things.
Ooh. So, because back in the US, you didn't have proper lunch, you didn't sit down for lunch before or dinner?
Not for 2 hours like they do in France.
Yeah, it's another thing. I think people, when they first arrive in France, are invited for those lunch or dinner. They freak out. Like when I brought my partner to my French family gathering, he couldn't believe the lengths of it. It's like, and after it's the pétanque, and there is a lot of rituals. It's fun. I think it's really fun.
Oh, with a big French lunch at friend's house, we often get home at between 5 and 7, and that's lunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
great.
it's an adventure, une aventure française.
It is. Yes, you'll finally live your slow life dream. Yes, absolutely. We have adapted to the wonderful French lifestyle, and it has been a dream. It's been fabulous every minute. We've loved it. Best thing we ever did.
I was thinking it's not maybe a coincidence if there is a lot of retirees that decide to come to France for their retirement, because if the image you have of France is this slow life image, maybe it wouldn't have fit with maybe the working girl Lynn when you were like working really hard, but maybe now in this stage of your life it's a perfect match in a way, no?
Yeah, because I always had 2 jobs and very busy. So this is a very, very different lifestyle. But we retired a little bit early, so we've been quite fortunate to be able to live it for so long.
So you are retired, but you still run your blog and you still write.
Yeah, but no, I don't work very much, just a little bit.
Ah, okay.
Just fun.
You keep writing for a magazine or?
No, just the blog now mostly.
Okay. And you mentioned to me that you are also you have this intention to write another book.
Yes, I have the intention. I'm not very disciplined, but I'm hoping to.
It will come in time.
We'll see. Okay, myth or fact? You'll never want to go back. Ooh, interesting question. At this age, and my husband's slightly older than I am, at one point we had to sit down and say, okay, where do we want to die? Do we want to die in France, or do we want to die?
Oh, that's a good question. That's important.
It's a question you have to face at some point.
Yeah.
And it's a very difficult question for us. We do have children in the States, and you want to be near your children. So probably we will go back to the States at some point. But do we want to go back? No.
Okay.
We don't want to go back.
Now you feel you can call France home. Do you feel at home?
I do feel at home here. And I was trying to think in 20 years, and we know tons of expats. I think there's only been one couple I can think of that didn't like it and turned around and went home. Only one, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
People usually just love it here. But you have to be the kind of person who wants that sort of adventure, and you have to be willing to put yourself out there, and speak French badly if you're not fluent, and all those things.
Speaking of the personality feature of someone that would love the life in France, you mentioned like you have to have this little sense of adventures. Is there other qualities that you see in people who actually thrive in France?
Yeah, I think you have to be very open-minded. It's a different culture with different traditions and habits and all that. So you have to have an open mind. You have to be willing to make mistakes with the language. You have to be able to leave your children and your grandchildren in another country. That's a big issue for a lot of people. They don't children, or else you have to have the resources to go back often. So I think those are the main things. Obviously people who love to travel are going to enjoy it more. That's one wonderful thing, is you can travel all over Europe and jump on a train and everything's close by. So if you're if you're a travel lover, it's like heaven.
How were you before 20 years ago, before the big move? Were you huge travelers with your husband? Did you have this kind of lifestyle where you moved a lot abroad? Or?
Yeah, we travel, especially later, we traveled abroad when we could afford it. We always loved to travel to Europe. That was our favorite thing. And so we traveled quite a bit. Mm-hmm.
And for you, you mentioned that one of the roadblock for people is that the sons and daughters they have, or the family, the attachment to their friends and family in their home country. How was it for you? It's a bit of a personal question, but did your children accepted it? Was it an easy decision for you?
Yeah, it was an easy decision. We have kids in Australia, so that that's
okay.
And then we have kids in the States, but we were able to go back and see them, and they come see us. And the kids in Australia love to come to France. They'd rather come to France than the States. So
nice. Yeah, it's also appealing for them.
Yes.
Is it easy to go back, like to have this routine of going back to the US? Are you looking forward to it when you go back every year? Or I don't know if you go back every year.
Yes, we go back every year. Yeah, I prefer France, but I'm happy to go back. We have a nice house in Charleston as well, so I like going back, but I prefer France if I had to choose.
What do you put in your suitcase when you come back from the US to France? Is there like little things that you miss? Or?
Yes, I bring. We have our cat in our suitcase. We travel with the cat. We're there for several months, so we take the cat. But yeah, I take grits. I bring grits and cornmeal. Those are the main things that I can't get in France. Over the years, it's much easier to get things, but those two things I can't find.
Yeah. I think sometimes they have, because my partner is from New Zealand, and there is, you know, that it's a bit like in the UK, they have the Marmite. It's like this paste that they put on bread. Yes. And they have a specific Marmite from New Zealand.
Oh my
and and it's really hard to find. And I know that there is some companies that sells Australian and Kiwi products, but it's really expensive. There is like a lot of fees, and so like when we go when we go to New Zealand and come back, there is Marmite and Manuka honey, like specific products. So I imagine it's the same for the US. You've got like little things that's hard. I wanted to finish this interview. I wanted to ask you, I think there is a lot of people who are still in their home country, maybe in the US, Canada, or maybe Australia or other places. They want to come to France, and maybe they are a little bit hesitant, and they watch YouTube videos just to get inspired and listen to people's stories. So do you have like an advice to say to those people that listen to us and they still feel a little bit like they want to, but they don't know? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, I'd say if you're on the fence, do it because it's wonderful. But I think you really need to do your research to see if you can really do this, especially if you're moving here full time. If you're going to stay under 6 months, you're not going to be a fiscal resident. But if you're going to move here full time, you really need to check out things like weather, taxes. One thing people often miss is the inheritance laws. You need to look at those. You need to look at the cost and so forth. But if you can work all that out, we've had just the best experience ever.
Do you have any resources? You mentioned the research. Is there any websites or books or blogs that you recommend to people?
Well, there's tons of blogs out there, and there's Facebook sites for expats that I mentioned. There's probably one in every area. We read The Connection and The Local, which are French news in English, and a lot of their articles are about visas and practical things and things you need to know if you live here, if you're an expat. So those are really, really good resources.
I put the link below the video.
Yeah. So that's the main thing.
Well, thank you very much. And I wanted to finish as well. If you have a favorite or the first that comes into your mind, French expression or French word, something that you like, that makes you laugh or smile.
I'll tell you the first one that comes into mind because I had this discussion with a friend the other day, French friend. I had company coming. I was very excited to have them, but then when they left, it's like, we're a little bit glad to get our house back right. She said, "Oh, there's an expression for that. It's called chic ouf." I don't know if you know that expression.
No, I don't know.
Chic meaning there. It's wonderful. They're coming, and woof, they're gone. Like woof.
Yeah.
He said chic ouf. So
I didn't know. That's cute. Chic
yeah.
oof.
So that comes in handy for a lot of situations. We've been using chic oof. Great, not so great.
It is true that the sound of relief, it's this oof is a bit different in French and in English, no? Oof, and in English you would say poof.
You say
yeah, it's like slightly different.
Yeah, it's spelled H-E-W.
Yeah, the onomatope.
Yeah, all the sounds in French are different and spelled differently. It's funny.
Yeah, I don't know if you do when you hesitate. Do you do the?
Yep, I can't do it like the French do.
Yeah. That makes people laugh a lot. I don't know.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Lynn. And people can find your adventure in your blog, and I will share the links that you mentioned. I will try to share them below the video. Okay. And it was a pleasure to speak with you.
Yes, thank you. It was great to speak with you, Deborah. And I'm glad you're teaching French to expats. That's wonderful.
Well, thank you very much. And maybe we can have an interview later on at some point for you to tell us the continuation of your adventures.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Au revoir.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, there are plenty more like this. Honest conversations with expats and retirees navigating big change in France. Hit subscribe to stay updated and support the show. It really, really means a lot. And if you are beginning your own journey, your own chapter in France, just remember, you don't need to have it all figured out. Just take it one day at a time and build something that feels like home. À bientôt!